everybody. If you want to read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 534, The Dark Carnival, Part 2, Intermediate. Lena struggled to break free from the bearded lady's grasp, but it was no use. The lady's grip was like a vice, and Lena felt herself being pulled back into the heart of the carnival. As she was dragged away, Lena caught a glimpse of Mr. Dark watching her from the shadows. His eyes seemed to gleam with a malevolent light, and Lena knew that she was in grave danger. The bearded lady led Lena to a small, cramped wagon that seemed to be parked in the middle of nowhere. The wagon was adorned with strange symbols and markings, and Lena could feel a dark energy emanating from it. Inside the wagon, Lena found herself face to face with a group of twisted, inhuman creatures. They were the freaks from the freak show, but they seemed to have been transformed into something even more sinister. The creatures began to chant and chant, their voices rising to a fever pitch. Lena felt herself being drawn into their ritual, and she knew that she was in grave danger. But just as all hope seemed lost, Lena remembered the words of the ticket vendor. "Once you enter, there's no turning back," he had said. But what if she could turn back? What if she could find a way to escape the carnival and leave its twisted world behind? With a surge of determination, Lena reached out and touched the bearded lady's face. The lady's eyes went wide, and she let out a blood-curdling scream. As the creatures closed in, Lena felt herself being lifted out of the wagon and back into the night air. She stumbled and fell, but she was not alone. A figure was standing beside her, a figure that seemed to be made of shadow and light. It was the bearded lady, but she was different now. Her eyes were no longer black as coal, and her face was no longer twisted with malice. She was smiling, and her smile was warm and kind. "Thank you, Lena," the lady said, her voice like music. "You have freed me from the carnival's grasp. I am no longer a prisoner of Mr. Dark's twisted games." Together, Lena and the bearded lady made their way back to the entrance of the carnival. As they emerged into the night air, Lena saw that the carnival was changing. The twisted attractions were disappearing, and the freaks were transforming back into their human forms. Mr. Dark was nowhere to be seen, but Lena knew that he was still out there, waiting for his next victim. She vowed to never speak of the Dark Carnival again, to never tell anyone of the horrors that she had witnessed. But as she looked back at the bearded lady, she saw that the lady was smiling again, and this time her smile was not just a smile, it was a warning. "The carnival may be gone, Lena," the lady said, "but Mr. Dark's games are far from over. He will find another way to play, another way to trap the innocent, and next time you may not be so lucky." Lena shuddered at the lady's words, but she knew that she had to move on. She had to leave the Dark Carnival behind and start a new life, a life free from the horrors of that twisted world. As she walked away from the carnival, Lena felt a sense of peace wash over her. She knew that she would never forget the Dark Carnival, but she also knew that she would never let it define her. Vocabulary notes. Malevolent definition: having or showing a wish to do harm to someone. Example: Mr. Dark's games were far from over, and Lena knew that she had to be careful not to fall into his malevolent trap again. Similar words: evil, wicked, cruel, sinister. Sinister definition: giving a feeling of fear or suspicion, often because of a person's appearance or behavior. Example: the wagon was adorned with strange symbols and markings, and Lena could feel a sinister energy emanating from it. Similar words: ominous, foreboding, threatening, menacing. Twisted definition: distorted or deformed in a way that is unpleasant or unnatural. Example: the creatures were twisted into impossible shapes, their bodies contorted in ways that seem to defy human anatomy. Similar words: distorted, deformed, warped, bent. Ritual definition: a series of actions performed in a specific order, often with a sense of ceremony or importance. Example: the creatures began to chant and chant, their voices rising to a fever pitch as they performed a twisted ritual to summon Mr. Dark. Similar words: ceremony, rite, custom, tradition. Apprehend definition: to catch or see someone or something, often in a sudden or unexpected way. Example: Lena felt herself being lifted out of the wagon and back into the night air, as if she had been apprehended by some unseen force. Similar words: catch, seize, grab, snatch. Transformed definition: changed in form or appearance, often in a way that is surprising or unexpected. Example: the bearded lady was transformed from a twisted and sinister figure into a warm and kind person, her eyes shining with a newfound humanity. Similar words: changed, altered, modified, metamorphosed. Ensnared definition: caught or trapped in a situation or problem, often in a way that is difficult to escape. Example: Lena felt herself becoming ensnared in the Dark Carnival's twisted games, unable to escape the sinister forces that were at work. Similar words: trapped, caught, snared, entangled. Vice definition: a strong and often unpleasant grip or hold, often used to describe a physical or emotional grasp. Example: the bearded lady's grip was like a vice, and Lena felt herself being pulled back into the heart of the carnival. Similar words: hold, catch, seize, grasp. Foreboding definition: giving a feeling of fear or suspicion, often because of a person's appearance or behavior. Example: the carnival seemed to be shrouded in a foreboding atmosphere, as if something was lurking just out of sight. Similar words: ominous, sinister, menacing, threatening. Humanity definition: the quality of being human, often used to describe a person's kindness, compassion, or empathy. Example: the bearded lady's eyes shone with a newfound humanity, and Lena felt a sense of hope and renewal. Similar words: kindness, compassion, empathy, warmth. Story written by Leo AI. Image created by Google AI Studio. To read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you.